How are you? Welcome again. My name is Gugurahundi. Welcome to the Real Zondo Commission. This is the second part of the video. I do not know what I'm going to title it, but I'm not going to read the verses again. We read the verses in the previous video, the verses that we are going to use. So this is just a continuation, and I was outlining about the things that Robert Mugabe did in the 1980s and the mistake that the army did by using ZANU-PF alone as its sole forefront, as its sole foreground power in running this nation, which is Zimbabwe. So now, because Robert Mugabe was not a military man, he was just a politician. For him to eliminate his opponent, first of all, he managed through whatever means to win the 1980 election against Joshua Nkomo, who many would say was the most popular candidate in Zimbabwe. But we're going to leave that. Strike number one. Strike number two was after that he had won, he wanted to consolidate all power to himself and to completely destroy and alienate and get rid of the legacy of Joshua Nkomo by instigating the Gugurahundi atrocities, of which the Holy Spirit said to me that these are part of the reasons why of what is happening in Harare today. And I will explain to you how those events in the 1980s link to what is happening today in 2022. Holy is the Lord. Now, because as I've been explaining in my other videos, that all countries are the same. All countries have got a background power, which is like the realm or the crown, so to speak, and it is silent in politics. And what we have in the foreground power is the politicians that battle it out in the political field, and get people's votes. As I said, that democracy actually doesn't exist in the way that you people think. If you look at the British system, it paints a very much clearer picture. Because in Britain, we know that we have got the Queen. We do not vote for the Queen to come in, and we do not vote the Queen to go out. The kingdom of Britain belongs to the Queen, the United Kingdom. So now the political parties that are in the UK or Britain, whatever you want to call it, the political parties all serve the Queen. Okay. It's the same thing in all countries. It's just that they do not talk about it. Democracy works when they do not talk about it. It just stays in the background and in the foreground. You believe that you vote for the people that you want, which is true really. You do vote for those that you want on the issues that you care about. But either way, they will all serve the realm. But the realm shouldn't be concerned too much about the issues of the people. The realm in itself, by the way, if the realm decides to be a successful realm, it will want the people and democracy to play out so that the realm can be safe from internal enemies. You do not have uprisings and revolutions internally if the realm allows people to express themselves. So whatever political dynamics or political uprisings within the realm, they happen within the realm. It is not against the realm. It will be against the political party that is in power. You see, the realm is very clever. So the realm, right, sits on the background where it's hidden, then appoints the political appointee, which is a political party, right, which rules on behalf of the realm. Now, when that political party fails and the people are complaining, they don't complain to the realm or the crown. They complain to the political party, and then they form their own political party. So kings discover that instead of being toppled down or being murdered by their own people in their own realm, what they did is that, okay, let us establish the political party system. Now God is showing us where the political party system is coming from. He's showing me that this political party system came. This is what God told me, not because I didn't read it in a book. This political system came, this democracy came because the kings wanted to protect themselves. And therefore you will have a political party. And it says to me that in all countries, and don't be fooled, in all countries there is kings, there is a crown. It's just that they do not call it so, you see. And crowns stay at the background and they've got they've got a new vehicle now that they use in this age. This vehicle is called multi-party democracy. So as I told you, that this crown doesn't have to be you don't have to know who is the one person, or there's two, or there's five, or there's 10. You don't have to know anything. All you know is that there is a realm that is hidden at the back, okay, that supports the political power. So this is how they insulated themselves from being killed, these kings. So if you've got a political head, which is the president, if the people are against that president or the policies of that president, or there's hyperinflation or economic downturn, there will be an uprising. There will be someone within the people who will uprise, some talented politician that will uprise. So God shows me that it was the wisdom of these kings to be able to appoint new politicians who are talented when the old ones are failing. So these ones that are uprising will come out in a campaign within the people, within the community, against their rulers. So the realm or the crown will allow the people, their subject, to come up against the rulers. Now the ruler, now you get it correctly, the ruler is not the king. In this case, the ruler is the politician, who is the president. Yet we know that the real ruler is the king. But since the politician is saving the king, just like in Britain, Boris Johnson is saving the queen. So if there is if there is an economic problem in Britain, or whatever problem politically, the people do not ask the queen to step down. The people themselves will find their own leader in Britain who thinks better for them, and that leader will replace Boris Johnson. We have had Theresa May. We have had Tony Blair of Robert Mugabe fame. We have had a lot of British prime ministers. Their names are not coming to my mind now. Okay, so we're not concerned about that. They always change, but it doesn't matter. All of them serve the realm. So God is showing me that, you see, in a successful country, the realm of the crown must stay away from politics in the public's eyes. Yet the realm is always in politics. It's just that you're not supposed to see it, or you're not going to see it. Even if you see it, you know that in Britain, the president, the prime minister of Britain will always go to see the queen. What do they talk about if not politics? What do they talk about if not influencing each other? Isn't there agents of the realm that work within the government? You see, so the crown of Britain is protected because all political parties are under the crown. And even if you form a new political party in Britain, it is still under the crown, even if it's your own idea, because all the people in the United Kingdom belong to the Queen. Okay, everything belongs to the Queen. So in that way, countries work. All countries work like that. It's just that other countries say they're not a kingdom, but they are. It's just that it's another layer of bureaucracy, political bureaucracy, that causes you people not to actually see what is really going on. But it's not a bad thing. The Lord shows me that it's not a bad thing. It's what it is. It's how nations are run. It's how authorities are run. That's why I read for you that verse that say, where is it? Where is it? About the authorities. Okay, I'm going to read it again. Sure, I cannot see it. Let me pause. Okay, here it is, Romans 3 verse 1. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. So all authorities are appointed by God, even the foreground power, the background power. So when the military in Zimbabwe won that war using the gun, they were the authorities, and therefore they had to formulate a strategy or an infrastructure or an architecture of building Zimbabwe. In that architecture, as they were following the British architecture of having the background power, the realm or the crown, which is the military and the central intelligence organization, the police and the prison services, I said to you that it is now what is in Zimbabwe called the JOC, which is the background power. And then in the foreground, we have got the political parties. But then we see the problem in Zimbabwe that the people that were in the background power are not as wise as the British. The military lacks wisdom, and the military lacked wisdom. Yes, they won by the gun, but wisdom, you don't win by the gun. Wisdom, you win by the word of God. Okay. I'm also going to prove that wisdom comes through the word of God, studying the word of God. Or if you don't want that word of God, wisdom comes from knowledge, being very wise. Robert Mugabe became wiser than the military, but he was wiser for himself, not for country. Whoever was advising him, or it was his own advice, but Robert Mugabe destroyed and created a architecture of Zimbabwe that will make sure that Zimbabwe will never be blessed. Okay, because as I told you that in Britain or in any other successful monarch, kings were tired of being killed by their own internal subjects. So they said, okay, internal subject, you want to rule my people, you think that you are a better king than me, it's fine, I will be the king, you will be the president, or I will call you prime minister. If there's somebody else that doesn't like your rule, that person will fight against you, not through wars, not through battles of war using swords and guns, but through a certain battle of an ideological battle. That ideological battle gave birth to the politics that we call multi-party democracy today. And it works because the crown allows it. I told you in another video that the Lord was telling us that human rights, all the system in a country, they function to the extent to which the military allows it. In this case, the military in Zimbabwe is the crown. ZANU-PF is a prime minister, so to speak. But Robert Mugabe did not like to become the prime minister. He wanted to be president, executive president. He wanted to be the crown. So Robert Mugabe, if you're playing chess, you know that you defend, you're the king. You mustn't let the king to be exposed. So what are exposed out there are the pawns. So Robert Mugabe was a pawn, okay, in politics because he was exposed to the dynamics of the democratic system of being voted in and being voted out. So because he did not like to be a pawn, even though he was a pawn, he decided to be the king, which you are a pawn. If you are playing chess, you will know that if you are a pawn and then you suddenly change to become a king, you will easily be destroyed because the enemy you'll be killed by the enemy's pawns. You understand? So if you are going to be a king, you have to go to the back of the board. So the military, we say God was praising the military for staying in the barracks for so long because the military is the king. It stays at the back. It's not seen. So the last, in any country, if ever you're going to invade a country, like Zimbabwe is being invaded now through the CIO, and I will tell you how it's being invaded through the CIO. At the end of it all, you destroy the king of Zimbabwe, which is the military. So the end game is killing the military. So here in this chess game of Zimbabwe, the enemies has already entered the CIO, has already entered the politics, and is now about to enter the military. I told you in other multiple videos I've made that God has had his own weapons against the military of Zimbabwe, which is the crown of Zimbabwe, for not being good to his people. The residents of Zimbabwe, the citizens of Zimbabwe, are subject to the military of Zimbabwe. The military of Zimbabwe are the crown. They are our king, our queens, as they whichever way you put it. So we are subject to the military, including ZANU-PF, including everybody. But they have not been faithful to their subject, which is the people. So, but these people also are created by God, who is bigger than this military of Zimbabwe. So this God is not happy with it. He is not happy how the military of Zimbabwe since 1980 until 2022 had been treating the citizens of Zimbabwe. So he has judged the military by making sure that he has got these weapons, these militaries that are coming from outside Zimbabwe that I've been telling you about. And I told you that now they are in the CIO. They've infiltrated the Central Intelligence Organization of Zimbabwe. And right now the military of Zimbabwe is fighting with the Central Intelligence Office, thinking that it's just the CIOs only, but it actually goes beyond the borders of Zimbabwe. Those CIOs, those people in the G40, together with the person that I said I'm going to reveal, whose name is none other than Professor Jonathan Moyo, is working together with international forces, with other countries that have got militaries other militaries of other parties, other countries. Remember, we did a prayer here. The Lord prophesied that these people now, they even flex in front of Emerson Mnangagwa and say, we have got powerful friends now. We've got powerful friends now. So these people, they now have got international powerful friends, powerful countries which have got which have got the military, and their intention is to come and strike at the military of Zimbabwe and take over Zimbabwe. That is the only way that these G40 people that are aggrieved will be able to come back to the nation, because they see that since they were removed, being told that they are the thieves or enemies or whatever, thieves or criminals surrounding Robert Mugabe, they believe that they can never come back to Zimbabwe freely. So for them to come back freely, they have to remove the military, which is really a grandiose strategy, and it means shaking the foundations themselves of the country. Because if you are going to remove the king, the king, I mean, in the political game, we are actually rebuilding the country, and we are destroying it, or we are destroying the country and trying to reset it afresh. And I said it yesterday in the prophetic, the word God said to the people in the G40 and the CIO and Professor Jonathan Moore, I'm just naming him today, that you believe that if you make this reset, you believe that there will be a reset after you remove the military. But God said that after the international community is involved, the reset might not even include you. The reset will not be the reset that you seek, he says the Lord. So if your actions are going to be futile. Okay, I went so much to the front. Let's pause for some glass of water. Welcome back. So now let's go back again and explain the dynamics, how it gets to this 2022 dilemma whereby the G40 is fighting the military, and the G40 is aligned to international militaries that might come and attack the Zimbabwean military. As I told you, that even in a chess game, you face by defeating the pawns. You also defeat the horses. What do they call the knights? The castles, the queen. But then if you defeat the king, game is over. The king in Zimbabwe is a military engagement and the removing Wanachi Wenga and all of those generals. That is the end game. Right now, we are still dealing with the pawns, which the next pawn, the pawns near the military is the CIO. The pawns also next to the CIO is the G40. The pawns there, these guys that are aggrieved. So foreign invaders that want to take over Zimbabwe uses those internal weaknesses by taking those pawns. Now, we're talking about pawns. Let's go back. We said that Robert Mugabe made this chess game mistake of not understanding that he is a pawn. Because if Robert Mugabe is a pawn, right, you would have acted as a political leader of ZANU-PF, Joshua Nkomo, leader of ZAPU. If he wins the elections, he wins. If he loses the elections, he loses. Zimbabwe is still intact. But Robert Mugabe did not care about Zimbabwe. Robert Mugabe cared about Robert Mugabe's power to be intact. So since he was the pawn in this side of the chessboard, he decided to become the king himself by destroying other pawns. The other pawns are the ZAPU that he destroyed. So when he destroyed ZAPU, he wanted to eliminate political competition so that the military will only have one politician representing them, which is ZANU-PF. And within ZANU-PF, he made sure that he eliminated any rising force against him. So he became the own king in ZANU-PF, and therefore providing himself, he being the only person who provides the services of for the military, which is the crown, really. So I call it background power, but I can still call it crown. So he provides for that power. So he monopolizes politics in a way. And then the military doesn't see anything wrong with it. In fact, the military, because they were not wise in the 1980s, they went along with Robert Mugabe's plans. I do not know how he managed to make them believe it, but they thought that is a good thing, but they did not know. God said that they did not know that is going to haunt them now. And this is what is haunting them today. And I will explain to you how now it's linked to today. As I have told you that the problem with having this one party state idea is that, remember what we just talk about multi-party democracy. Remember where multi-party democracy comes from. Multi-party democracy comes from the fact that kings, before this democracy, kings didn't have votes. You don't vote for kings into power. Kings were kings; they were rulers. Okay, so if you wanted to rule the place that you are living in, you had to kill the king. Okay, you had to kill the king, fight against the military of the king. So now I told you that the kings found a strategy of how to protect themselves by making sure that as far as the internal people are concerned, the kings will have a representative of the king, which is the politician, to work for them. So if that politician is got a competition, the king will allow the competition to happen against that politician, so that the politician will be on his toes. This is the role that the military of Zimbabwe should have played in 1980 going forward. To have ZANU-PF and ZAPU and other people who are interested in politics to come and compete in the political field. Understand? So that nobody will aim their guns at the military. Remember that statement. So that nobody will aim their guns at the military, but will aim their guns at the political opponent. So Robert Mugabe destroyed that possibility by destroying his political opponent, which is ZAP, to remain alone as ZANU-PF, and actually swallowed it anyway in 1989. And even within ZANU-PF, assimilated all the power to himself. You understand? So you will discover that in ZANU-PF, if anybody had to arise in ZANU-PF, something mysterious would happen to that person. They would naturally die, right? Or car accident or something. Remember Edison Topo, the challenge Robert Mugabe, but I think he had his own political party, but he was so suffocated. Remember Botagezi, remember Chenjerai Hunzi, all of those people that had the potential of shaking things even within ZANU-PF, but were not given space to breathe because Robert Mugabe was a pawn in the front and acting like a king, something that he shouldn't have done. If Robert Mugabe wanted all the power, he should have gone to the background where the military is and retire, so that he will have his political appointees in ZANU-PF. And also, if he wanted to have that power, he would be forming an interest in other smaller political parties that could challenge ZANU-PF, but it wouldn't matter who wins, because Robert Mugabe and the military will be the crown, really. But Robert Mugabe, at the same time, he wanted the crown, he also wanted the limelight. You see, here's the thing about the crown. You can't be at the background, be a secret government, and be at the same time be in the front. You need to pick a box. So Robert Mugabe wanted to be in the limelight, to speak nice English, to go around, the world and be celebrated to be this great hero. Yet at the same time, he did not accept political competition, which political competition is good because it sharpens you. Iron sharpens iron. There is no doubt that Robert Mugabe was very gifted politically, was very gifted with wisdom, but his wisdom needed to be complemented by other people who would sharpen him and will help the country going forward. But the military made a mistake by keeping him there. So now God shows me that you see now that Jonathan Moyo is doing what he's doing by infiltrating Robert Mugabe's mind. Remember, I told you that Robert Mugabe was infiltrated, even him, because of his insatiable desire for power. And he has been battling with this military for so long. So when Professor Jonathan Moyo came into the picture, he was actually iron sharpening an iron, but they are sharpening each other for their own personal gain, whereby they also want to take that military power. So Robert Mugabe waged another war also against the military now in the 2010s, or something like that. I mean, those the past 10-15 years, by having Jonathan Moyo on board and forming the G40, and then changing his political slogan of talking about country being kept by the gun, and now talking about the generational 40, about the young people, thereby basically dumping the military and waging a war, pointing his gun to the military using the Central Intelligence Organization, of which we saw Professor Jonathan Moyo go to head when Jonathan Moyo was the minister who was in charge of the CIO. God sent me a message to President Robert Mugabe to tell him, to warn him that Jonathan Moyo is a person who was poisoning his mind. But then I did not tell the president the name of the person. I withheld that information because the name of the person was the one who was in charge of handing over that prophetic letter to the president. So I withheld that name, but I've always known. God had already told me that it is Professor Jonathan Moyo who's doing all of these things. But now, as I say, that the G40 it appeared to have been a project of Robert Mugabe. If it really was a project of Robert Mugabe, the G40, since he died and he was removed, you would expect that G40 would naturally die. But why is G40 still alive? It is alive because the people that were evicted into other countries feel grieved. And they believe that the only path of them coming back to their home country is to remove the king. Because remember, what they did really by forming G40 is tantamount to political treason. Because the treason was a treasonous thing against the background power, not against the foreground power, but against the background power, which is the military. So Robert Mugabe wanted to take over from the military by using the Central Intelligence Organization and Professor Jonathan Moyo. So the military caught wind of that and therefore decided to neutralize that plan. The way that they did it, they had no choice than to remove Robert Mugabe. That is what they had. There are people, Joyce Mchuri, who was vice president. It wasn't Robert Mugabe's idea to have Joyce Mchuri as vice president, as you might think. It's actually the military, because Joyce Mchuri was aligned with the military. Now, therefore, Robert Mugabe removed Joyce Mchuri, meaning that he was attacking the military and repudiating all the attempts of the military of taking that political seat once again. So Robert Mugabe was in this process in sharpening his wife's ex, the ex of his wife, AXE, the wife who got a degree in 3 months. That's how brilliant Grace is. I might stop it. And then after that, Emerson Mnangagwa was dumped by Robert Mugabe. And you know that the reasons why Emerson Mnangagwa fell out with Robert Mugabe was because of a lot of investigations by Professor Jonathan Moyo, and he brought that rift between Robert Mugabe and Emerson Mnangagwa. So Emerson Mnangagwa became a loyalist of the military, and the military began to see him as a man that they can use in the political seat instead of Robert Mugabe. So because Robert Mugabe was beginning to wage a war against the real power, which is the background power, using the CIO and the G40 and trying to give the power to Grace Mugabe, and having removed the military figure who was the military person, which was Joyce Mujuru. So the military found favor in Edim Mnangagwa, and that is why they had to remove Robert Mugabe from power and put Emerson Mnangagwa. The real reason was the fact that Robert Mugabe was attacking the military. You see, the funny thing is, we are not really told, and nobody really talks a lot about why did the military remove Robert Mugabe. It's not Emerson Mnangagwa removed Robert Mugabe, it was the military. And Emerson Mnangagwa works for the military. And the military removed Robert Mugabe because Robert Mugabe was now wanting to remove the military's background power, or take them out in the crown by using the Central Intelligence Organization. So the military caught wind of it and dealt with them decisively, and decisively they did so. And today, the vestiges of Robert Mugabe, which is the Central Intelligence Organization, and the prime man who came up with that suggestion, Professor Jonathan Moyo, are still out there on the course of fighting the military of Zimbabwe. The military of Zimbabwe, therefore, now is engaged in that war. And that is why God said to me, son, tell the CIOs in Zimbabwe that I can kill them all in one day. I can finish them all in one day. Remember that prophecy about the cars that I told you about? And I said to you, I do not know why God is saying this. I do not know what it means. I told that after a few days, God will explain to me what he meant. Well, now here is the explanation. CIO in Zimbabwe, you are just an intelligence organization. You are good at gathering information. We are not trained at dealing with weapons of war, machinery of war, bombs, shooting, and all that stuff. God was showing me that the military of Zimbabwe has got the capability of destroying the CIOs even within one day, They are small boys when they are compared to the military. But the saga is not complete. This is a trilogy. Part 3 is we're going to talk about what God is going to do, what God is thinking about what to do, and why God is bringing these actors together for this climax, this military, the CIO fighting together with the external military that is already attempting to fight in Zimbabwe. On part 3, I will be telling you about that and I'll tell you the mind of God as to why he is against the Zimbabwe military, why he would support the Zimbabwean military, why he is against the CIO, why he would help the CIO, why he will be against the CIO, and this foreign invasion, what it will mean to the CIO, what it will mean to the Zimbabwe National Army, and what it will mean to the people of Zimbabwe, and what is God's stance as to the people of Zimbabwe. That will be in the climax of this trilogy. My name is Ngobani Zondo. This is the Real Zondo Commission. Thank you for watching. Let us meet in the climatic chapter, part 3 of this thing that I have not found a title for it yet. Thank you.